Hi everyone.
Hi!
Welcome to the Literary Gladiators channel, and today we are here with the Would You Rather 2.0 book tag. And I am here with...
Hi, I'm Kim Brumall.
I'm Ari.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Josh.
Pleasure to meet you again.
Hi.
Alrighty. If last year we did the first part of the Would You Rather book tag, plenty of us had a great time, and we had lone wolves howling, and let's see if we can find any more. Let's begin. Zach, what's the first question?
Well, first up is, would you rather do only review videos or tag videos?
You want to start, Kim?
Okay, I'm not sure how to answer this because I've only participated in these things and I don't really do my own booktubing stuff. I would mostly rather do reviews, I guess, if I would. I don't know. I hope that's right.
I'd probably want to do reviews also. I'm really more interested in getting my opinion out to other people than to tell them about this or that. I'd rather read something and then give it out to other people and get them to understand what I think about a book or a piece of work. So I'd probably go with reviews as well.
I think I'm going to have to do the wolf cry, but I'm going to also, here's why.
Well, he still has to go though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How could you forget Josh?
You know I am your producer.
And I'm the musical director.
Let's get back.
I'm sorry.
All right, Charles.
Oh, it's my turn now?
Yes,
Yeah.
so your turn.
You can tell I just woke up about 5 minutes ago. I would honestly rather do, I'd rather get people involved and do tag, but also, yes, review the book, but also I don't want to accidentally give away,
Like a spoiler?
yeah, I don't want to be a spoiler. No offense. Please, no offense to anybody. But, I would love to review and say, here's what I think. Here's, I would, for example, I would highly recommend this book for this, and this. And I would maybe do a challenge. I tag these 4 or 5 people to, So I guess incorporating both. So am I breaking the rules here, or is it just? But if it's one or the other, I would have to do probably a tag because I want to get other people involved and say, tell me what you think of it. I'm more of a personal guy, so.
Charlie, today's your lucky day. You're not going to have to howl.
Yay!
Yes.
I choose tag videos as well. I like written reviews. I've written on my blog and I write book reviews on Goodreads. But when it comes to an actual video, I would prefer to do a tag because you can include little snippets of what you thought within the review, especially the foodie book tags that
I love food.
I've put together. And I enjoy doing reviews as well, and I enjoy watching other reviews, but when it comes to filming, I like I find that tags, hauls, and wrap-ups are pretty catchy within the community, and given a choice between a review and a tag, I'd go with a tag.
Yeah.
For a video.
Tag, you're it.
He
I still was joking.
So it's 2 and 2.
did
Next
steal my joke.
question, Zach.
Alrighty, question 2. Would you rather always see the film first or never see the film version of books?
Oh man.
Ari, you're first.
Oh no, I have to be first on this one. Question was either films first or books first. Was that the question? I think it was.
Yeah.
It's watch the film first or never watch the film version.
Well, and if those are the 2 options, which I'm not exactly happy with either of those options, I'd have to watch the movie. I mean, I wouldn't be an RTF, radio, television, film major if I didn't watch the films. I'm not going to say that the books. I mean, the thing I like about books is that when you're watching a film, things are always you see whatever the director wants to see. It's not what you want to see, but usually the director's ideas are always worth watching and listening to, and because it's a little more visual. I mean, when you're reading, you can't quite get that. You get the imagination of what's going on, but you can't quite feed it. So
And everything's coming at. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but everything's coming at you at once. Am I right? And
Yeah.
plus, you also have the effect of music.
Yeah, same exactly. Movies, there's music, sound, lights, things that you're sensitive to. In books, you get that, but you only really get it in your head when you're reading it. So I think I'd rather see a film version, also because it's personally a little easier for me to understand. Like if I'm reading, it's sometimes a little complex for me. But not that I don't like reading. I love reading. It's just that I'm also very slow, a little slow when it comes to reading. So.
Charles?
My turn. Well, personally, I'd rather read the book and not see the movie, and here's why. Imagine, if you will, no, I'm kidding. Years ago, many years ago, there was no such thing as a TV or a movie. I mean, in the 1920s is when it started coming out with the TV, and they were all just, and you would have to capture them. So that's how a story would be told. Now, going back, way back, when people were building with rocks and stuff, how do you tell a story to pass the time? You make one up, and then it's passed down generation to generation. One time in band camp, even though it never happened back then, still, I'd rather read the book and not see the movie because I have, somewhat of a capability to picture it in my mind. Let's say, for example, and I'll keep this real short. Let's say it's and I'll keep it simple too. A cookbook. Okay, I'm reading about the author too. I was born in Italy. So then you get the picture of Italy in your mind, and you say pasta and meatballs and sausage and
Bertucci's.
Those things, and the very strict Italian nuns. God bless my aunt, and 50 years too. God bless her. And you read about you just get a picture in your mind because back then, hundreds of years ago, there was no such thing as a television or a movie or a Blu-ray. So.
I don't have Blu-ray.
Yeah, I don't have Blu-ray either. But I'd rather read the book and not see the movie.
Why blue? Couldn't they have picked another color?
Pink? Hot pink.
Yeah, hot pink ray.
Yeah, well, that might send off a bad message. Hey, I have new drumsticks now. I use wood tips instead of the plastic tips. Moving on.
I would rather
That's gonna get
read
tough.
the book and never watch the movie because if there's one thing that can never be taken away, that's your imagination.
Exactly.
And if you picture something in a book, there's not really much of a need for the movie to do it for you.
And also to add to that, yes, movies are good, but they're all fun. It's like, hey, let's go to the movies. Let's do something. Let's go. Let's not do this all day. Let's go to see a movie. And I'm not bashing anyone, but still, when I'm subbing, there's a lot of times with the upper level, and I'm not going to say where I sub, but a lot of kids are doing this. And I'll let them do that after an assignment, and I'll say, all right, for your homework, you don't have any, just go see a movie. Go out, see a movie, read a book. And some are like, okay, and some are like, well, I'm not going to show you what finger they would show.
Yeah, that's what I did with me in elementary school. There was a thing called Read for 20 minutes.
I had that too.
It was silent reading or drop everything and read.
Yep.
Well, actually, I meant in elementary school.
Yeah, and I had that
It
too.
was that similar to
Third
something
grade.
of that nature as well.
Third
Reading
grade.
writing workshop I like most because we could do one or the other.
Exactly.
Reading, writing.
Reading, we
Kim?
know.
See, this is a very tough question for me because I run a movie review blog, and I've had to wrestle with this a lot because I mostly read young adult fiction, and young adult fiction based movies are almost always terrible. So, but at the same time, there are some movies that I like that were based on books, and I wouldn't want to skip those just because the book. So it's usually like a tough call because a lot of times I would skip the movies of a book I've already read because I don't want to be disappointed because I'm always disappointed if I read the book first. But I guess I'd probably see the movie first because then I can appreciate the movie on its own terms before figuring out the book.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Second time in a row, Charlie and I agree, and the two of you agree.
2 for 2.
Number 3.
Okay, question 3. Would you rather have a list of every book you've ever read or still have the physical copy of your first favorite book?
Wait, is it recording?
Charlie?
My turn? Oh, I'm going to flat out say, of course it's covered in scribbles, but my very first copy of Thomas the Tank Engine. That was the first book I was able to read, but I had a bird book, and I would still keep that. I would keep that, and I'd rather have that, even though it's maybe 4 pages long, but I would keep that. It's sentimental.
Is it like one of those board books?
Yeah, and it was something my mom gave to me when I was,
I would say that it's definitely a sentimental element, and it has there's a nostalgia to owning a copy of your first favorite book.
That's why I'll never be
But
so.
as long as there's one that exists that is the same kind of text and not some revamped anniversary makeup edition, I would prefer the list, because I already have an existing list. I keep track of everything that I've read, and I'm pretty committed to my a Goodreads account. So
Right.
I would say that. Kim?
Okay. Now, see, my first favorite book that I can remember was Parachuting Hamsters and Andy Russell, and you can probably find that relatively cheap online. But since there's a large gap in my memory of all the books that I've read in my life and when I read them exactly, I'd probably go with the list, because while it'd be cool to have a copy of Parachuting Hamsters, and because the author of it is a cousin of an author I like right now, I would probably go with the list, and because I really want to know what I read and when I read it, because my Goodreads is missing some gaps from my early childhood. Let's be real, I need to know all that.
Good. Ari?
Well, it's a tough question, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the book, the physical book. I feel that just having if any of you saw my the Phantom Tollbooth video we did in season 3 or season 4, you noticed that I said that there was no cover on it, but when there was a cover on it, it had said the price on it. You're not going to be able to find easily a book that is that old around. I mean, when it comes to books like that, I know nonfiction is different and famous authors is different, but if it's passed down, it's a little bit more of a treasure than it is when it's just being reprinted over and over again. I would definitely want a copy of something that no one else or very few other people have.
I will make the a defensive argument that a few years ago I bought a copy of a book from my childhood, In the Ghost's Dinner, which I went over on the first part of Works from Childhood. But the reason I answered as I did, and I agree with Kim, is because I can probably, it doesn't necessarily need to be that copy from my childhood, as long as it is readable and the authentic version. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think certain things have material value. I think a copy of Phantom Tollbooth that cost 75 cents all those years ago is a little has more material value than buying the exact same book now for $12.99.
Yeah. I was actually gonna say maybe it's even more, $25.99. I don't know.
That maybe for the 50th anniversary edition. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next question, Zach.
Alright, question 4. Would you rather have an active in-person book club of non-Booktubers or have lunch with your best Booktube buddy once a year?
I start with this one, and I've made some terrific friends in the Booktube community, but I feel that having an active book club with non-Booktubers would be my personal preference. It would just be really nice to keep in touch actively with people and talk about a common interest of yours, like a book that you all agreed to read. So I would say an active book club, even though I would really be enthusiastic about meeting some Booktube friends of mine that I've made.
All right.
Kim?
I'm not a booktuber, so I would definitely go with the in-person book club of non-booktubers, because it's not my community, so I don't really know it. but I know I'm just looking for more people who read, because in my day-to-day life, I only really communicate with authors on Twitter, and the friends I have who read, I only know through social networking, except for like one friend. But so really, I would go with the in-person thing, because it gets kind of lonely reading books by yourself and having nobody to scream about them with.
I'm not a booktuber. However, I would probably want to have a the thing where like you have everyone like, what was the first option again?
An active book club.
That one. I'd rather have an active book club with people that like aren't part of BookTube, because in a way I enjoy trying to get other people involved in things, and in a way I would consider that Literary Gladiators is some way a book club where almost nobody in the group is a booktuber, and yet we always review our favorite books, and we also not only can do books, but we can also do lyrics, and we can do poetry, and we can do all kinds of things like that. So I think I'm going to go with the ones who don't have the booktuber having a book club meet often, and I think that's a very beneficial idea.
And I guess I'm last, so just you save the best for last. Forget it. I would do the same with Ari and everyone. I too have.
Well, she picked the other one.
Oh, okay. You might have to howl.
She's a wolf. We got our
I
first
thought
wolf.
she said non.
Wait, no.
No.
She did say non-booktube.
Did you say non-booktubers?
Non-booktubers, yes.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So we're all on the same page here,
No
because
one's on wolf.
I don't have a booktube myself, and I'd rather get someone, and even if it's let's say, and this might be on the stretch, but a community outreach. Let's help people.
This is a booktube channel, you know.
Well, yeah, but I don't have my own personal. Like, this is where I keep my pet cat, and not a cat.
I am not your pet cat.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying in general. I'd rather have a group of people face to face. Like I said, I'm more of a social butterfly. I like to, be around people. I don't want to, still. But still, I'd rather have, especially if it's like a community service. And the reason I'm going to say that, I've never had to do community service, but I'm saying, or volunteering my time. Let's say I had to go, and please, I'm only going to keep this real short. Let's say I had to go for a job, and I had to, read to people who are in rehab or something like that. I'd rather get these people, reading and doing, getting them engaged with a story or a book or as a lyrical analysis or a song, and I'd rather do it face to face, kind of like what we are now.
Yeah. Like for me, it's very hard. It's hard for me to read novels quickly. So being able to do things still related to literature that are not novels is a good way for me to express my interest in the subject.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're unanimous on this one. Question 5.
Question 5. Would you rather have the time to read everything you want to read, or have the money to buy everything you want to read?
Oh, good lord.
He is very good. Yes, he is.
That's really tough, because I do buy way more books than I have time for. So I probably would like to have the time to read everything I want to read, because even if I can't buy everything I want to read, there's libraries, there's interlibrary loans, there's friends, there's other sources of books. I can get everything I want to read, and if I had the time for it, possibilities are endless.
All right.
Time is a gift given to you, given to give you the time you need. Again, another fan of Told with reference, but I certainly think the time is more important. Time's more important to me. People always say that money makes the world go round. There are so many people who have no money who have made more of their life than people who have billions and billions of dollars.
Exactly.
So.
Question 6.
Question 6. Would you rather Dreamcast the film, or have editing power over the script for the film version of your favorite book?
Ha ha ha, that's
Ari's
an interesting question.
Yeah.
I thought Kim. No, okay. Well,
You're the RTAF.
yes, and
I don't know what it is.
Here's the thing about my view on casting in movies. It doesn't matter if it's a book or if it's any movie. I never want to use a dream cast because if you use a dream cast of famous people, you will always miscast somebody. It happens so often in movies. I would rather take the time to look for someone to cast my movie, book or otherwise. So we'll use the book example. I would rather find an actor or actress who has a little bit less experience but is better suited for the character I'm looking for.
And if I may, for a movie or anything, whatever, like when they came out with the Three Stooges, you have to have somebody who can vocally, emotionally, and physically fit the role.
I'm going to give you an example.
Oh, kind of like Joe Besser, who did not get the role.
Well, no, but still, when you're doing something, when you have to make somebody, let's say, I don't want to go into it, but when you're recreating something from a TV series or whatnot, you need to have somebody that can, like I said, emotionally, physically, and vocally fill the role.
So, for example, for those of you who have recently seen Star Wars The Force Awakens, or even the original Star Wars when they came out,
Speaking of Force,
they used mostly unknown actors. And, I mean, there were some well-known ones like Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing, but, I mean, most of the actors and actresses were very young and inexperienced, and I think that they were able to choose the actors and actresses based off of what the role wants and not because it's a famous name.
So you're saying editing.
Yes.
And Charlie?
I would say the editing as well, because like I said, and I learned this in an intro to theater class or acting, and I take an interest in all of the comedy and etc. etc.
Yeah.
I feel like I said, you must have somebody that can fit the role. You don't want to have, let's say we're having someone playing Mike Tyson. You don't want
A white guy playing Mike Tyson.
What?
You don't want a white guy playing Mike Tyson.
Well, no, go ahead.
Hollywood would do that anyway.
Well, anyway.
They made a cartoon out of him, apparently.
You want
Great.
somebody who can capture the essence while meeting those three criteria. Because if you can't, like I said, when the Three Stooges movie came out in, 2012? Those three people, they had to study the originals, Moe, Larry, and Curly. They had to not only study them, but they had to, and they rehearse.
And then, of course, there's method actors like Daniel Day-Lewis. If you've ever seen The Crucible, apparently I heard a story that Daniel Day-Lewis didn't take a shower for like a month or something.
Yeah, some actors will either...
Their mantra is the director is God.
Yeah. Well, so, yeah.
But I agree with both of you. I think that I would much rather have editing power over dreamcasting because not only is there an issue with the dreamcasting going up into flames, but there's also the clashing of these huge names that in many cases you have to alter the movie so that it caters to your biggest stars, which is why in any of the Alice in Wonderland promotions you have Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter when the story is primarily Alice.
In Wonderland.
Yeah, it centers around Alice, but the way that they advertise, they make it as if it's centered around the Mad Hatter.
And actually, the second movie is very much centered around the Mad Hatter.
And he didn't even appear in Through the Looking Glass.
I didn't. Yeah, and on the contrary, Humpty Dumpty appeared for like 2 seconds in Through the Looking Glass.
And he made.
Wait, he was put back together?
But no, he broke. But I'm saying is that the reason I liked, just very briefly, the reason I liked Through the Looking Glass was not because I didn't really pay attention to the fact that there was a book about it. I just took the movie as its own. So.
But with regard to editing, I think it's much more important that one stays as faithful to the book as possible when adapting it.
And it'll never be 100%, but you have to at least give it your all. You don't still.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have another as a former film person, like I have the same exact perspective on this. Okay, so one of my favorite books is The Fault in Our Stars, and I refused to see the movie version because they edited it in the wrong way and took out the parts that I actually cared about and just focused it on the romance way too much.
No, she.
No. I'm good. And
That's what people like in those kind of movies.
I mean, I get it, but like at the same time, it was not the parts that made the book actually compelling. They cut out a lot. Whereas I don't care who the cast is, because Hollywood always casts the same 3 young actresses in every book based on a young adult book. So if they were making my favorite book, which is a fairly obscure young adult novel, into a movie, they would probably mess it up by casting somebody who completely unfit for the part just because she's one of the known 3 young actresses in Hollywood. So no, editing is important because then it makes sure that the movie is actually like even remotely as good as the book.
Alrighty.
So you're
We're unanimous for the 3rd time in a row.
Does that mean we can play Duck Duck Goose?
No.
No.
Next question.
Go turn.